All right, good evening, everybody. We're here to talk about how bad the new Power of the Rings show on Amazon is. There's that one scene with Galadriel on the horse. It was like the director and editor discovered slow motion for the first time. I don't know. Or maybe that's not what we're here to talk about. Maybe we have a no logic race here between MrByer and Bread-Kun. We are going to start momentarily, I think. Yes, we are. Matter of seconds here. All right. So this is the first game between these two. I believe Bread-Kun will count us down. You look at his timer up there. There we are. So first game between these two. This is the lower bracket. So this is first game. Loser of the series will be eliminated from the tournament. And off we go. So no logic means the items are placed without regard for beatability under normal circumstances. So we allow some abnormal circumstances. We are allowed to use almost every major glitch there is. There are a couple that are too powerful that would be used simply all the time, all over the place. MrByer having a little fun with our arrow guard here in the way of his trying to get to Hobo. Bread-Kun making an early play, swimming through a diagonal wall. Should get him to the back gate. Okay, that worked. I was a little worried there. Now you might ask, well, can't seeds be unbeatable without logic? Well, could be. If there were rod on Trinix, that would be a problem. To compensate for that particular problem, there are 2 of each rod in the item pool. So a rod on Trinix will not render the seed unbeatable. Not by itself anyway. We had some discussion in Discord about how likely an unbeatable seed is. The number is something like 1 in quadrillion or a couple quintillion. Not a meaningful likelihood. Key to Thieves Town. Nice try. That is true warpable, of course. We can get a second Thieves Town small key. Unlikely to get a second Thieves Town small key, as it is one of the least useful small keys in the game. In general, small keys are not considered especially important. A few are better than others. Desert small key in particular. So Bread-Kun going to head up the mountain, rescue the old man. Fire going to continue his play from Iceberg Cave, get the blue boomerang in the waterfall fairy. We're going to peek at the Zora Ledge item. We can get it now if we really want to. We're likely never coming back for the Zora item. On most seeds, boomerang and mushroom would be useless. Mushroom would be just a fetch quest. However, both would be useful later in combination with some other items to get us places we otherwise couldn't. Bread-Kun rescue the old man is making a typical play to Graveyard Ledge and will likely Houlihan afterwards to have get some early money, which ends up being important, using potions for reasons other than refilling health and magic. It's frequently done in no logic. They will get us places in the underworld that we otherwise shouldn't be. The Bread-Kun doing a clockwise traversal of Lost Woods, ending at the Lumberjack, and will likely climb the mountain. Bread-Kun has 6 bombs. I'm a little surprised they didn't farm up to 10 if he was going to come to the South Shore. He's going to be fighting Moldorm. Well, I'll see if he can get some magic. We'll be fighting Moldorms with only a small number of bombs. If things go badly, he will also want a bomb. Well, maybe he doesn't know that particular version of that glitch, but he could get King's Tomb from Mini Moldorm Cave afterwards if he wanted. Meyer Big Key, one of the less useful big keys, will only become relevant if we find the Meyer Medallion. Right, so 5 bomb Mini Moldorm Cave, here we go. I missed the item that was inside Spectacle Rock, but MrByer wants it. He clipped through the wall to get straight to it. The glove. Wow, okay, so sword, ether, and hookshot, all in Mini Moldorm Cave. We can free warp that sword to get a second sword. He decides to save and quit. Does not want to try the it's called a door juke that would get us to King's Tomb for Mini Moldorm Cave. So those are some very useful items there in Mini Moldorm Cave. Once he gets that, well, let's see. It's going to need at least one more item for that hookshot to be leveraged in the way many are used to seeing it in Illogic. The buyer with his glove is just going to walk to the back and escape. Bread-Kun heading to Iceheart Cave will end up. What is Buyer? I'm not sure MrByer knew what he was doing there for a second. So Bread-Kun is eventually going to swim through. There we go. So Bread-Kun headed for. Likely headed for the waterfall. Wow, not setting up a fake water walk. Not sure what he is doing then. Maybe he forgot? No, I think he just forgot to do it. So, doesn't know why that doesn't work. It's because he didn't dash near the pit the way he was supposed to. But he can rearm it here. There we go. MrByer rescuing the old man. Not sure why. Okay, so we ended in Spectre Rock before. That's why we haven't seen this yet. Buyer now looking like he's making a Graveyard Ledge Houlihan play if he survives. Alright, Bread-Kun gonna get his blue boomerang here. So there is a glitch called hook pushing that gets us through lots of walls. It, of course, requires the hook shot. It requires some other items, not all of which we have. There are a couple different combinations. We don't quite have what we need, I believe, to hook push, do any kind of hook pushing yet. Ooh, so MrByer went to the Zora ledge, checked it, did not have money for Zora, is probably never going back to Zora. Unfortunately, Bread-Kun grabs the fire rod off of Zora. So MrByer will probably have to find the other fire rod. So MrByer is headed to escape. The main purpose of this, aside from it being a reasonable item density, we are going to get the Hyrule Castle Big Key. That is a cave state key. We will often be going through some walls in the underworld. We will be probably going to, well, eventually we'll probably go from the Uncle Passage to Thieves Town. To open big chests and big key doors, we need one of 4 different big keys. One of them is the Hyrule Castle big key, so that is why you often see an early escape play. The others being Pod, Thieves Town, and Ganon Tower. We have none of those big keys, so this will be our first cave state key off the Ball and Chain Guard. So, Dave Moldorm's not quite playing nice with MrByer here. He will get his sword. He is much happier having a sword than not, more so than most other players in this tournament. I'm going to get his ether and hookshot. He has enough bombs to attempt the juke to King's Tomb. Here we go. Oh, okay, and Quake in Zelda's Cell. So we now have 2 medallions. MrByer medallion is often a big problem. I did not see that item at a King's Tomb. MrByer did not either. I don't think we saw what it was. I didn't see what it was, at least. Alright, so Bread-Kun Death Warps out of escape, gets the flute from the uncle. Pod small key, one of the least exciting small keys. Our tracker also saying they saw nothing of interest, at least on the start menu. That could be that King's Tomb item. MrByer had a bad experience with bombs in one of these tournament races. Ran out despite buying upgrades. You will get plenty here now. So we have yet to see Kakariko from either player. I imagine we're getting close now, though. That might be where MrByer is headed. Bread-Kun, we have also not seen East Death Mountain. Those are the 2 big densities we have left. But MrByer is going to do a clip up to get to Aghanim's Tower, not needing Master Sword or Cape. He'll get the first item at least out of Aghanim's Tower. Possibly the second if the first happens to be a vanilla small key. It's happened. Bread-Kun demonstrating the relatively new, couple weeks now, Terrapot setup without boot. Very nice. So MrByer not yet going to escape. I wonder what his plan is. You might see players prefer to escape rather than the Uncle Passage, hoping to be able to go to Thieves Town from the Uncle Passage with an item they get out of escape. That's not happening here. Bread-Kun killing Moldorm. We don't know what dungeon prize this is, but Moldorm tends to always die. And no logic for various reasons. It is a crystal. Actually, that's an interesting question. Has there been a game this tournament when Moldorm has not died? We'll see if anybody in chat knows. Alright, Bread-Kun. Why do we... Oh, Bread-Kun paid Zora, so a little low on money. We're going to go out of our way to get that 20 rupees. Bread-Kun will get his glove here out of Spectacle Rock. MrByer in Escape. Going to get Quake out of Zelda's Cell together with the Hyrule Castle Big Key. So Bread-Kun could end here. Will not, though. Perhaps headed to, or one of the reasons to get a Cave State Big Key is to be able to full clear Pod when you go to it early, as Bread-Kun looks like, yep, is going to do now. So Pod, one of the easiest dungeons to get to and one of the highest item densities in the early game. So we will get a Pod, probably full clear here. Some question about how comfortable Bread-Kun would be fighting Helmasaur with this equipment. Quake and a save and quit. MrByer likely headed to Kakariko, although he could do East Death Mountain or Pod here. It'd be one of those latter two. You can do Helma with 3 hearts. I have done it several times. Actually, that may not be true. I may have only done it once. I've only completed one Helma RTA with 3 hearts. So Byer also going to kill Helmasaur. Oh, excuse me, Moldorm. Alright, so there is a bow in Pod that is dupable, but perhaps not worth waiting on. You'd have to leave the... Oh, that's not true. You're going to need Samari to dupe it, or at least you're going to want Samari to dupe it. And the mirror would be nice. Otherwise, probably not going to see that duped. MrByer getting trolled by Moldorm. Bread-Kun in the dark maze of Pod. Alright, well. Bombos in the dark maze. We definitely have the Meyer medallion now. So dealing with Meyer, if it is a crystal, without its medallion is a pain. So that will not be an issue this seed. Certainly not for Bread-Kun. Very unlikely for MrByer. Very unlikely MrByer does not clear Pod. Although I have seen it happen. MrByer once again being trolled by Moldorm. Bread-Kun finishing up the back of Pod. He has a couple options about what to do once he's done here. I think he didn't get the big key chest. That suggests he's setting up for something, but going this way, maybe not. He may not fight Helmosaur. Okay, so he already got the big key chest. Looks like he is reloading. No. Yes? Reloading the dungeon. We're gonna get a Helmosaur fight, it looks like. But he could also quadrant glitch to Hookshot Cave here. MrByer is going to join him in Pod. MrByer will definitely quadrant glitch, and Bread-Kun is setting up for it now. I think that was late. We'll have to see. I don't think Bread-Kun got it there, but if he did, we'll see his camera unlocked here. Yep, his camera is unlocked, so he did get it. So this will allow him to move the mimics out of the way, and for reasons, transitions will be messed up, and he will go to Hookshot Cave from Pod. Alright, so Bread-Kun cannot check the balcony chest doing what he's doing. Because his east-west transitions are corrupted. Bread-Kun. Okay, I thought he did something wrong there, but I think we're okay. So, Hookshot Cave from Bread-Kun. I don't know what happened to MrByer. He was in Pod for a minute there. Guess he died in the dark maze? Or died trying to hammer jump? I'm sorry, I did not see. I was distracted by failed hammer jump and died. Okay. Anyway, I was distracted by whether what Bread-Kun was doing was going to work. So Bread-Kun gets a little bit of nothing out of Hookshot Cave. And not much out of Super Bunny Cave. So he is in fake Dark World now for reasons, but he screen transitions and will be in the Light World. So he's now going to clear East Death Mountain this way. Neither player has a bottle. That is what's keeping them from going to... Ooh, okay, so MrByer is setting up to... That was too slow. I think that was too slow. Well, certainly didn't work there because of the dead rock. But MrByer is trying to set an index, an invisible value in memory of the game to try to use his hookshot to go places later. I am all but certain Bread-Kun failed to set his variable the way he wanted. Alright, small key to swamp. not irrelevant. I missed that when Bread-Kun was here. Saves a trip, saves a bit of time, and having to use a different small key. Big key to Hera would only be one check for both players, given that they've both killed Moldorm now. Actually, I don't know that both drop down to get the other chest, so it could be 2 checks. Alright, so Bread-Kun got the powder there in Paradox Cave. This makes setting the index the way he's trying much easier. I believe he got it there. Well, I certainly saw a hair big key in Paradox Cave. We will all but certainly see Paradox Cave again from MrByer when he's done with Pod. Alright, so no, they would like a bottle before heading to Kakariko, but none showed up, and it's now a little silly to try to skip Kakariko further. Alright, Pod Big Key. If you're wondering, when we're in Cave State, that key gets deleted, so MrByer got nothing out of that chest, and Bread-Kun also got nothing, never having opened that chest there. And the lack of bottle isn't that big a deal. We'll have the flute, we'll be able to activate it. Oh, Bread-Kun is going to clip into Magic Bat. Be able to check it without the hammer. I'm going to jump to the other side of the screen. Fake flipper. Don't worry about it. And now we're jumping into Magic Bat. Alright, so MrByer is going to do the Helmosaur fight. 20 bombs should be plenty. Burna isn't going to help. But that bow will. So I think we're going to have a relatively safe Helmosaur fight. We'll probably be in one-hit KO mode. We'll see if MrByer... Well, he could get a heart, but everything's going to do 2 hearts of damage in the fight, so I don't think there's much of a point. Alright, so statue drag from MrByer. Ooh, not gonna... There we go, gets the heart. Again, not gonna matter, but I suppose if you bombed yourself, you could survive. Alright, so statue drag takes a little too long to explain for the length of time it's being done, but it gets us to Helmosaur without any items, really. And we're doing this fight no hammer, so we have to use bombs to break the mask. Nothing really interesting in Kakariko yet, unless I really missed something. Oh, unfortunately, you got to play a little more careful with Helmosaur there. Made a lunge towards MrByer. Took him out. And there we go. The bottle we were waiting for was just there in Kakariko in Blind Set. So MrByer will not try Helmosaur again. We're going to quadrant glitch the way Bread-Kun did to get to Hookshot Cave. MrByer was a frame late there on his select buffer, so has to retry. That looks good. Well, it was a good bee, so we got 100 rupees from the bottle vendor for releasing it. We'll see if MrByer stacks up another pair of quadrant glitches on top of the one he already has, and gets the chests behind Ice Armus that way. There we go, another sword in the well. That's 2 duplicable swords for those counting at home. Yes, MrByer will load up another pair of quadrant glitches. So he's going to do one, and then another. He'll do one, transition, then get another. Where is Bread-Kun going? Are we doing an overworld conveyor somewhere? Oh no, he just hasn't been to Lost Woods. All right. So I think Buyer has one quadrant glitch stacked and has made the transition. That has to be the case given that there are no sprites. I'm not sure. Okay, I think this is correct. So with our bottle, we will put something useful in it, probably a red potion, but perhaps that's not where you turn in the mushroom, Bread-Kun. There we go. So Buyer has gotten behind Ice Armos, checks the items without having to fight Ice Armos. Just a castle tower small key there. But we'll now be able to check Hookshot Cave. Didn't see what color potion Bread-Kun got, but he'll use it soon enough, I think. Remembers to check Sick Kid. So we're heading to Desert. That potion gives us the ability to kill Landmo on this trip. I think that's a shield on the race game. Not interested. Oh, MrByer, also in Fake Dark World, will transition here and check Paradox Cave. We were worried we missed some items in Paradox Cave, so we'll get a second look. Ape on the torch. Marginally useful. Don't think we'll be using it to check Spike Cave, one of the least often checked locations in No Logic. Alright, so Bread-Kun is going to use his potion to go to... Okay, so Bread-Kun got... they both got half magic somewhere that I didn't notice. That was probably early. Anyway, using his potion to go to Thieves Town from Desert. Just going to... Well, maybe we're not just going to open the attic. Normally you would expect players to take some damage if they were going to just open the attic. No, we're just going to clip. Okay, fair enough. We're just going to clip back to Desert. Never going to do the quadrant glitch. Let's see. I don't think we can. Why are we killing the popos? So we can't really kill... So we needed the potion if we wanted to kill Lamo on this fight. MrByer is going to clip down the mountain. Funny auto walk thing. Turn in his mushroom here. I guess we... I don't think... Okay, so if we're going to Lamo, it has to be a hook push. I don't think MrByer has cashed in the index he had. So it's going to have to be some kind of stuck push, I don't know. Alright, so we're getting our first check of Sahasrara. No? What are we? Oh, okay, so MrByer also going to set the index that Bread-Kun is about to use. Except he can't do it here the way he wants. So here we go. We're getting an attempt at a stuck push to Lamo. There's the stuck push. I have to be a little careful with this. I didn't see if MrByer talked to Sahasrara. Alright, so second sword there in Sahasrara's closet. Ice is the green pendant. Yeah, Bread-Kun made a mistake there. So we got Ice as the green pendant, and I saw another pendant at Eastern. So Buyer knows two of his pendants. He's going to set his index here on this ledge. So 2 arrows, then an item dash, switch to powder. And that sets the index for MrByer. Now he has to decide where he wants to go. I have no idea where he's going. Guess he's going to Eastern? Maybe oh no, okay. He thinks he did not get his index set. Bread-Kun going to buy some capacity upgrades, at least bombs. Buyer likely headed into Eastern. Alright, Bread-Kun also gets the news that Eastern is a pendant. So Buyer is likely going to... What's he likely to do? I don't think so. Likely going to try to hook push to Meyer once he's done with Eastern. Unfortunately, doesn't have the bottle out of Kakariko that Bread-Kun does. Alright, so this is a door juke here on MrByer's side to get the Eastern Palace big key chest more quickly. Just a heart piece. Unfortunately, a full health refill. And no easy way to die for MrByer, so he's going to do something else. Bread-Kun, meanwhile, is going to YBA to Thieves Town. MrByer successfully sets an index, I think. Bread-Kun's still working on this YBA to Thieves Town. So MrByer really wants to go to Meyer, it looks like. That is the more important part of this play for MrByer. Not really the items in Eastern. Right, so a pod map out of Blind Cell. Alright, tragic that we don't get to see MrByer's patented Quadrant Glitch Eastern, but we get the book out of the cannonball chest. Alright, so blind fight here on Bread-Kun's side. Needs to do LSD blind here so that the door remains open. We're in cave state, so we will not get a dungeon prize after this fight. So Bread-Kun will just walk out. There we go, blind down for Bread-Kun, walks out. He will reload Thieves Town in Thieves Town State, and then pick up the dungeon prize. Don't know yet whether it is a crystal or pendant. Likely crystal, given that we know 2 of the other pendants. Buyer working on a hook push to Meyer, gets it very quickly there. He has medallions, so he's just going to exit and open Meyer. That'll give him the big key. Has the Meyer big key, so he'll be able to open the big chest. Bread-Kun, meanwhile, clearing out the front of thieves. So MrByer in fake Dark World, that's why he has a link state on the Dark Overworld. Okay, so Ice Rod for Bread-Kun. Ice Rod for Bread-Kun in Thieves Town. Getting kind of close to go mode for Bread-Kun. It would probably be terrible. We'd really like a second bottle. That's perhaps the thing we would want the most on Bread-Kun's side. Bread-Kun dying in these, I guess. I'm not sure why he needs to do that, but I think that's to preserve fake Dark World? I'm not sure. Anyway, going to collect the prize out of Thieves Town, MrByer working on MrByer. Alright, small key to desert there on the bridge in Meyer. That is maybe the most useful small key. We can use that in several other dungeons. Alright, so Buyer in Meyer with no fire. I did not mean to do that, I swear. But will not be able to check the left side. Well, let's see. Could we do a hook push? Did he mean to open that door? I don't know. Alright, but going to finish up Meyer, I think MrByer's index was spent getting here to Meyer, so we're going to be done once we collect the big chest, and I think it is the map chest here on the right side. Alright, so MrByer continuing in Meyer. I guess he keeps his index through successful stuck pushes. I don't know if that's the case. Either way, he's acting like he's headed He is acting like he forgets he doesn't have fire is what he's doing. No, clipping a Hera. Okay. So we're going to get the MrByer prize out of Hera. I don't think... Oh, he does have the Hera big key. That was silly of me not to think of clipping to Hera. Anyway, we're getting the MrByer dungeon prize out of Hera. That will let Byer know if he needs to go get Vitreous later. Bread-Kun lighting the torches. I did not see him get the desert big key if he has it. But... Okay. He must not. Just making this hook push easier, maybe? I don't know. Alright, so the MrByer prize drops. That's all MrByer wanted to know there. So he's going to stay in Hera, and we're doing a quadrant glitch. I've never seen anyone but MrByer do this. This is going to... He's going to go to Swamp from Hera, and this quadrant glitch that he's loading up will let him do some extra things in Swamp. Meanwhile, Bread-Kun had further troubles with his hook push to Landmo. Thieves Town big key out of Hera. Big chest there. Not that interesting. Alright, so Byer headed to Swamp here. That's a weird place to be careful with the buffering. Okay, MrByer setting an index again. Forgets to switch to powder, I guess? I don't know. Maybe knew he'd made a mistake. MrByer abusing this quadrant glitch to get around in Swamp. Alright, Bread-Kun thinks he set his index. MrByer gets an invisible item that I think was rupees out of the second chest in Swamp. Bread-Kun having a think, frustrated with his hook pushing failures to Landmo. Maybe gonna think about doing something else. Maybe gonna think about just spending a potion, doing it the old-fashioned way. Alright, MrByer, hot, 47 minutes. Kakariko clear, gonna get his bottle out of Blind's hut here. Alright, attempt number 3 for Bread-Kun. Here we go. Bottle from MrByer. Alright, so Bread-Kun gonna stick with the hook pushing. Might switch to a YBA. Gonna drink that potion if he fails again, I would guess. Gets the first part. Seeing that hookshot stuck there is good. MrByer gets his third sword out of the well. I knew there was something good here. Bread-Kun fails again, and here we go, I believe, with the YBA. So we're going to drink our potion in the door. In this particular case, we're also going to load a sword spin and use it. Except he needs to be careful here. So you need to... Okay, yeah, he's spending some magic here to make sure. You need to release B to set off the sword spin before the potion Animation ends. He did so, and now we're in Landmo. So, in terms of positions in the race, Bread-Kun has a pretty big advantage, having gotten the Fire Rod from Zora on top of a couple extra crystals. However, MrByer does have a sort of invisible latent advantage of having done some of Eastern and Meyer that Bread-Kun may do later. So Bread-Kun, interestingly, I am not sure that we've seen K45 and the associated area from either player, actually. Maybe we have. But we've certainly not seen Checkerboard or Agnes Cave, I don't think. Some sort of free collection of items there on the right side of Desert. So is Bread-Kun in Go mode? Not really. So failing those hook pushes to Landmo is a very bad sign. If you can't do that, there are lots of places you can't really get with just one bottle. Alright, so Bread-Kun going to do a Citrus Death Mountain Descent. We're going to clip through the wall here. Our ultimate goal is likely to be Skull Woods. We have a sword and fire rod to do that. MrByer also setting an index, or at least trying to. I don't believe that succeeded. Now headed to Desert. That's wrong. No, not wrong. Okay, so Bread-Kun gets his Death Mountain Descent. We will take a peek at Bumper Ledge, won't we? Maybe we'll just head straight to Skull Woods. Not even a peek at Bumper Ledge. Alright, so Skull Woods is easy. Once you die inside the dungeon, you get a link state in the dungeon. Because this is no logic, there is a vanilla bug that is normally patched in Rando that is not patched in No Logic Seeds, called Fake Worlds. So we will have link state on the Skull Woods overworld. Yeah, so neither player is... certainly MrByer without either rod is not at all thinking about Go mode. Bread-Kun is thinking about it, but really needs or wants other items. MrByer also doing the bomb clip to Desert. Might open this door here. Yep. It is useful to have this door open for reasons. Buyer is going to get these overworld items that I was talking about here on the right side of the Desert overworld screen. He got the book out of Eastern. Okay, so this is something Bread-Kun doesn't have, the book out of Eastern. So this could be interesting if this is an important item. It is not. Oh, that's an interesting clip-off bomb of a sledge. I didn't know you could do that. Oh, we did see at least K45 from Bread-Kun. Don't think we saw checkerboard, though. Money? I'm almost surprised we're not picking that up, but we've got a bunch of money. All right, so we see on Bread-Kun's side that Skull is a crystal. Flippers out of the first chest in the back of Skull Woods. That is very useful if Swamp ends up being a crystal. MrByer, I'm not sure he got it, but he was trying to set an index before saving and quitting there. So blue potion for Buyer. He could be doing one of two things with that. He could be getting a link state on the overworld, or he could be going to Ice Palace with the intention of beating Cold Stare. He knows Ice is the green pendant, so that's unlikely. All right, so Ether Tablet. Again, another thing Buyer has access to that Bread-Kun does not. Skullwood's Big Key, so to be determined whether that's interesting. Buyer well, no, not necessarily. Turtle Rock is the last pendant. That is very good news for MrByer not getting the Fire Rod from Zora. So either of the two remaining fire sources is good enough for him, although I think we can stuck push to the back of Skullwoods. Pretty sure we can do that. So I don't think we need the Fire Rod for Skullwoods on Buyer's side. And we don't need the Ice Rod, given that Turtle Rock is the last pendant. We do need... Well, technically we don't need a Fire Sorcerer Ganon. Bread-Kun also gets the news that Turtle Rock is a pendant. I don't think he knows that Ice is the green pendant yet. Has not visited Sahasrara. That's the sword Bread-Kun is missing that MrByer has. Hype Cave from MrByer. Nothing really interesting. Technically, that GT Big Key could be an extra check if we happen to go to GT not in cave state. So Buyer has full crystal information at this point. I'm a little surprised he's talking to the bomb shop owner. I wonder if he forgets. Strange. So Bread-Kun now going to Sahasrara. This will give him full crystal information. All right, so Buyer clipping to the mire area. That's easy enough. He has opened mire so he can die in mire, and maybe beating Vitreous and getting the crystal on this trip. Yep, taking some damage on the overworld, baiting this murder dactyl with him. This is the easiest way to take damage, especially with blue mail. Alright, so Bread-Kun. Don't look now, but already has 4 crystals. Needs to beat Meyer. That's... So with Bread-Kun not doing so well on those stuck pushes, I'm not sure if Bread-Kun can beat Meyer if he can't get the stuck push right. Alright, meanwhile, we're going to head back to Pod. We just need to clean up Helmasaur on Bread-Kun's side. I'm not sure there's anything interesting Bread-Kun could do after beating Helmasaur. So I think this is purely a Helmasaur trip. MrByer saying he's going to go to Vitreous. Alright, so chat's saying the particular way that Bread-Kun failed his stuck pushes is not a problem for his getting to Vitreous. Right, MrByer, this may be bad. I think, yeah, does not have the index that he thought he did. Okay, Bread-Kun is going to Hera in Cave State from Pod. Not likely to be doing anything in Hera. May get the Thieves Town key out of the Hera big chest if he hasn't already, which I think he has not. But going to Swamp to open up Swamp. Alright, so Bread-Kun has the flippers. The only thing he really needs to do is unlock Swamp. Well, he has the key. What he really needs to do is flood the... I'm a little surprised this trip was in Cave State then. I guess he doesn't have a key. I would have thought he could just... Well, I'd have to think about the sequencing, I guess. Anyway, we're unlocking the doors. We will make a separate trip to flood the middle there. Second ice rod there in the frontal swamp. So chat was saying they think Bread-Kun can do a very annoying trick here. Alright, so Bread-Kun says he's going to hook push past this statue here, skipping the hammer requirement and the need to make an extra trip. Loses his index though, again. So failed the trick. I believe he did it right up to a point, but cannot retry it once he failed there. Byer in the blind fight. Cave State. I'm not sure how we got here, but probably the Uncle Passage. Yeah, so Bread-Kun now making the extra trip I was talking about to flood the middle swamp. Looks like we have lost MrByer's stream. At least on the... Nope, there... Well. Alright, some hiccuping going on. But we're switching to Bread-Kun's audio now. So Byer cleaning out the front of Thieves Town after having beaten Blind. we'll head back in to get the dungeon prize. Alright, floods the middle of swamp. Let's see. Has to save and quit, yes. So not that he cares, but MrByer gets his ice rod out of Thieves Town. No, I don't think MrByer can beat Mothula. Because he needs to both get to the back of Skullwoods without the fire rod. Well, either needs to find a fire rod or get there without it. But then also needs to get to Mothula. I think you have to have fire for at least one of those. So he needs something like Samaria or a fire source to beat Skullwoods. That's going to keep him away from the flippers there in the back of Skullwoods. Bread-Kun now going to make his third trip to Swamp. And this time he should be able to just beat it. And after that, he will have only Pod and Meyer left. So clock is ticking on MrByer to get at least a fire source. But this whole race may be determined by that Zora check for Bread-Kun that led to the fire rod. Actually not sure we saw these Village of Outcasts overworld checks from Bread-Kun. Be weird if we didn't, so I think I just forgot. So Bread-Kun in Hera State in Swamp, but everything is flooded, so he just needs to go to the front. Oh, that's interesting. Did he want to take that key? I guess so. That's going to be a Hera small key stolen out of Swamp for Bread-Kun. So we're going to exit and re-enter, and we will be in Swamp. In Swamp State, just needs to do NMG Swamp. So Byer now headed to Landmo. I believe he also failed the hook push to Landmo. But maybe I'm thinking of his failed hook push to Vitreous. Either way, I think he has a bottle backup, and he may use that the way Bread-Kun did. Yep, so here we go, Bread-Kun, MrByer. I had it right the first time. Byer gets his stuck hook. Needs to do some shenanigans, couple bombs. This is harder without the lamp, I think. Anyway, this is a trick that Bread-Kun made a mistake on several times. Yeah, so getting out the ice rod, I know the ice rod is very annoying to use for this trick. So yeah, MrByer also does not get it there. He's acting like he can try again. Oh, maybe he's just saving and quitting. And he does not have a bottle backup. That bottle is empty. So Byer trying to improvise some kind of hook push. Chat will have to help me here on whether he has a chance of doing this. I don't think so. I've never seen someone do something like this. Ice Rod is, I think, the worst item to use for this kind of thing. Wow, okay, so there's a stuck hook. That's good. I don't know that this is going to work, though. Wow, we got it. All right. So that was very difficult what MrByer just did, saving that hook push to Landmo. Meanwhile, though, Bread-Kun has 5 crystals, just Meyer and Pod left. Pod is easy, so we should get that anytime, maybe while he thinks about Meyer. I believe he has been failing the same trick that... No. Someone said that's not the case, that Meyer should be easier for him, the thing he needs to do in Meyer to skip the cane. Alright, so Byer loads up a blue potion, setting an index again. Bread-Kun also setting an index. Both loading up for hook pushes later. Bread-Kun acting like he thinks he didn't get it. What on earth is he doing? Is he practicing, maybe? He's possibly practicing what he needs to do to get to Vitreous. So meanwhile, MrByer, once again going down the mountain, has a blue potion. I'm not sure why we'd come down the mountain as a bunny, but have a blue potion in a bottle. Normally, a blue potion is for doing a fake flute in the Dark World and getting yourself a link state. Looks like MrByer is just going to do the front, at least, of Skull Woods. This could be good for him if he also hook pushes to the back and gets his flippers. He sort of needs those for Swamp. But one way or another, he needs to find a fire source. So far, the only one we know of is the fire rod Bread-Kun got from Zora. So Byer looks like is going to finish off Helmosaur while he thinks about what's going on with his hook pushes. So Byer's going to be able to open the big chest here in Skull Woods that we did not see from Bread-Kun. The only thing it could be that could matter really is a fire source. The lamp would be very interesting. I suppose Samaria wouldn't hurt either. But it is neither of those. So MrByer is going to have to... Well, I'm not sure what he has to do. Other than find a fire source, really. Technically, Let's see. Where was that bow? That bow was somewhere not that bad to dupe. The arena in pod. Technically, that can be duped, and technically, you can beat Ganon without a fire source if you have silver arrows. I don't know of anyone in the community that has practiced that. I'm sure there's at least one, but very rare thing. So unlikely that Buyer is thinking about it. Buyer not going to go hook push to the back of Skull. Going to miss out on those flippers for now. So he has to start thinking about what he's going to do. GT seems like the best option. MrByer does not like to go to GT, but we are running out of other things. Looks like he's thinking about the same thing Bread-Kun is, though, going to get revenge on Helmosaur. Bread-Kun is not deep enough in that stairway. I guess it doesn't matter. But Bread-Kun giving back a little bit of time here, not succeeding at that statue drag the first time. All right, we're on track now. That should be good. Yes, it is. All right. MrByer right behind him, though. Alright, so gonna be decision time for both players here after this Helmosaur fight. MrByer is not confident in what he needs to do to get to Vitreous. He can easily get the Meyer Crystal, but beating Vitreous is another story. MrByer has bigger problems without the fire source. He is likely headed to GT. Not sure what happened to MrByer the first time, but he did not succeed at the statue drag. Alright, where's Bread-Kun going? Likely trying again to set an index? Yep. So MrByer does not get... I think he could have retried there, actually, though, without doing this whole setup again. Yeah, Bread-Kun definitely looks like he's practicing what he needs to do to get to Vitreous. Making sure his index and everything works. That appeared not to work the way he hoped. Alright, out of arrows, we will get an upgrade. Does he have enough money? Is that 890 or 90? I think it's 890. Alright, so more capacity. So Buyer gets the hard part of this statue drag to Helmosaur, playing it safe with the rest, just to make sure he gets it here. Should be good. Alright, Bread-Kun acting like he feels better about his hook push. Well, now, wait a minute. Well, stream frozen for me at least on Bread-Kun's side. Alright, so Dark World looks like we are fake fluting to Meyer. Yep, I guess he might check Hype Cave the way Byer did, and then clip as a bunny over to Meyer, but may walk straight to Meyer with this link state. So Byer also sort of at decision time here. We're going from pod 2 somewhere. I think he forgot what he was doing for a minute there. Looked like he was going for the statue drag again, but we've already done that. Where are we going? I don't know what's in his bottle. Oh. Are we duping them? So we're doing a quadrant glitch on the bumper? Why are we doing a quadrant glitch on? I have no idea where this hook push is going. But we're hook pushing in the arena for some reason. I wonder if I can pull up my EG map real quick and figure this out. Oh, this is Mothula. He is trying to go west to Mothula. And then he could get the Skull Woods crystal out of somewhere. I don't know where that would usually be. But here we go. If he's got it right, he's going to Mothula right now. Maybe low on bombs? Ran out of bombs. Alright, so Bread-Kun not happy with his ability to get to Vitreous. We're going to GT to get items. Let's see. Depends on what he's comfortable doing here. He can get Hoperum and the Torch, of course. We're going to have to do some shenanigans, though, to get other things. Byer is going to get some capacity upgrades. So the normal thing you can do, in fact, I think I've seen Bread-Kun do a version of it. In fact, a harder version of it. He can do a door juke to get to the Stalfos room on the left side here, skipping the hammer. Right, so it's going to be a juke in this door, except we're going to grab the key first. The pot key right here. Alright, so Byer setting an index, Bread-Kun setting up for the door juke I was talking about. A little hard to see, but looks like we got it if we're coming over from this. Oh, wow. Okay, so I forgot where the shovel was. They both have it. So we got rupees, small key to Turtle Rock, and an unknown item or two. All right, shovel was on Helmosaur, so they both have it. All right, so two unknown items there out of Stalfos room on Bread-Kun's side. Unfortunately, his restream is frozen. So we're going to miss his check of his items, so that's unfortunate. All right, so Mirror, what does Mirror do? Mirror acts like a bottle in some cases. Bread-Kun trying to set up an index. So we'll have to see. I did not see Samaria or the lamp on that menu, which would be the main things. Yeah, I don't think I saw anything of interest there. No hammer, no lamp, no Samaria. Buyer going to get some more items. We're checking. That'll be interesting. We've got a second bottle. Doesn't look like he thinks he does, at least. So buyer going to check Pyramid Fairy with that mirror. That mirror is going to need to do a lot for him. He is 2 crystals behind. Looks like he's going to check Dark Cross. Rare check in... Well, maybe not rare, but a check many no logic runners like to skip. Alright, so Bread-Kun acting like he has the... I don't know where we're going. Oh. Oh, we're doing a super drop, and we're doing this because we have the Moon Pearl. One of those invisible items was the Moon Pearl. Okay. So Bread-Kun going to mire this way. Alright, just bombs out of Dark Cross. Alright, so Bread-Kun corrects his camera for reasons. Still not going to mire. I guess we should have known better because he's shown he wasn't really happy with his hook pushes there. So what's he gonna do? Where's he going? I mean, this seems like... So he'll check the pyramid. He could check Catfish. Doing some sort of slow overworld, though. Oh, so he will probably swim to Pyramid Fairy. Yep, this is what this is. Alright, so Buyer is trying to fake flute here. I wonder if MrByer is just going straight for... Alright, so Bread-Kun makes a mistake there on Pyramid Fairy. We'll have to try again. Buyer could be headed to Mire. May do some more overworld, though. Neither player really happy with what they have to do. Alright, this looks better for Bread-Kun. He was a little too low last time. So we're going to get Stumpy, which I think neither player has checked. Indeed, neither player has checked, so that is not exactly what MrByer wanted, but I think that may be go mode for him. That gets him... Boy, that's uncomfortable, though, to try to beat Swamp. So he doesn't know about the... He needs those flippers out of the back of Skull Woods. But that lamp should get him to the back of Skull Woods. Well, actually, I don't know if that's true. I think that lamp does a lot for MrByer, though. I think he is relatively confident in doing most of the things he has left. Alright, so Bread-Kun definitely has the Pearl. I think we're headed back to GT. No. Don't know why we broke the camera, though. I mean, I guess it doesn't matter, but we're doing another super drop. So this gets us from basically the top of the map to the bottom without scrolling the screen. And because of that, we need to correct our camera in Swamp. Yeah, so I don't know what item. So it looks like Bread-Kun headed to Meyer. Maybe we're just getting the items out of Meyer, even though we're not comfortable trying to get to Vitreous yet. Oh, so Bread-Kun had never... Okay, so we've never been here at all. Has not opened Meyer. So Buyer is going to try to get to Vitreous here. He tried once and failed. I think with the... Well, I'm not even sure he's going to use the lamp. Alright, so... Seeing that stuck hook out is good. This looks good. And it is good. So no need for the king. We are getting Vitreous and the Meyer Crystal here. So that will leave Swamp and Skull for MrByer. Oh, Bread-Kun has to figure out. Needs to be able to do what MrByer just did. And chat was saying earlier he should be able to. Maybe he was just uncomfortable getting to Meyer before. Either way, a sort of low-key problem here is getting to Aghanim 2. We must beat Aghanim 2. Right. Alright, so what's Buyer doing? Likely headed for Skull Woods, I think. Can probably beat Mothula. And he should be able to get that bridge chest. And that should give him Swamp. Alright, so Bread-Kun's now headed to the back of Meyer, acting like he knows what to do here. Okay, so Bread-Kun is doing this from a different location than MrByer did. The effect will be the same to get him past the Samari requirement here in Meyer. Right, unfortunately, our restream having a little bit of difficulty. Both players are now frozen, for me at least. Let's see if I can bring up their individual streams. Keep you updated. A little bit of movement there for a second on Bread-Kun's side. All right, so I'm looking at their streams now. Oh, there we go. So streams are back on the restream, and MrByer just got his flippers out of the back of the swamp. That is good news for him. I think that puts him in go mode. Again, a little bit of an issue with getting to Aghanim 2, but I think MrByer has a solution with these items. Right, and so Bread-Kun, it looks like, possibly failed his stuck push to the back of Meyer while we lost his stream. So he's going to continue getting items here in Meyer. Now, Bread-Kun thinking he may decide. Okay, so just going to get the item. I think he's wondering if he wants to get the Meyer crystal out of Hera and then worry about getting to Vitreous some other way. We will see, though. Alright, so staying in Meyer. Alright, so we are now even on crystals. MrByer has a clear path to get his 7th. Bread-Kun not so much. We may see... MrByer having to think about what he's doing. Wants a potion. No, doesn't want a potion. Needs to remember to drain the dam. But this is part of the sequence to beat Swamp here. Yeah, Bread-Kun having to think. Failed that stuck push in Meyer, deciding whether he wants to try again or do something else. And if he wants to do something else, what is it? Does he really want to go into Ice Palace? He has not been into Eastern. He has not checked his shovel and got the mirror. Possibly frustration slashes there. Alright. He was thinking about a bottle, but he already has what he needs. Are we setting an index again? Are we practicing again? No, we are going to check the shovel. So that'll get him the mirror. I'm not sure how valuable that is. No, actually, you know what? That could be exactly what he needs. So he could use that in combination with a bottle. I think you can spin mirror YVA to Vitreous. I think that's a thing. You have to be careful. I think that loads a different tile set with the goo, and you have to know how to manipulate the big eye to keep it from wandering off into an infinity and becoming unbeatable. But we will see what Bread-Kun thinks about this mirror. Well, MrByer inching steadily towards that swamp crystal. Gonna have to drain the middle swamp on this trip, save and quit, and come back for a second trip. Oh, no, he already drained the middle. Okay, so... Well, either way, it looks like he has to make an extra trip. Wow. So... What was the point of that trip, though, if he just swam? Well, either way, he gets a second bottle. That's very valuable for him. So that removes any questions about what he was doing to get to Aghanim 2. It's a big advantage over Bread-Kun here. So he already has the middle drained. I don't know. I guess that... I don't know when that happened. But we're unlocking Swamp now. And then we will just be able to head through the front and go to Vitreous. Bread-Kun setting up. Got his lamp from the shovel spot. Excuse me, from... Where was the lamp? That was on Stumpy. So he visited Stumpy. So we are trying this stuck push again, now with Lamp, which I believe makes this easier. And he gets it right away, so I guess it does make it easier. So both heading towards their 7th crystal at about the same time. Buyer with a bottle advantage. Bread-Kun with a fire rod that MrByer does not have. Bread-Kun gonna have his crystal first. Bread-Kun also has the pearl, not irrelevant. Buyer will have to get to Turtle Rock some way. The pearl makes that much faster, or can make it much faster, if you can't one frame clip. 7th crystal for Bread-Kun. Right, so now he has to decide how he's getting to Aghanim 2. Off the top of my head, I think that's a bit difficult. I think players were recently experimenting with hook pushes to get there, and MrByer was one of the players doing that. I think with the mirror, we should be fine, though. Thought I saw a green potion, though, in Bread-Kun. You know what Bread-Kun may do? He may simply climb Ganon's tower. He does not have the big key. Or does he? Yes, he does. Well, we're not going that way for now. But he could climb Ganon's tower if he had to. He has a potion to skip a bunch of Ganon's tower. That's his worst path, but we're going to try to take a better path here through some part of Turtle Rock. I don't think we have the... Yeah, it's a green... Okay, so he's going to do some kind of hook push. He's saying he knows. Getting these pokies out of the way, but this is the room from which we will do the hook push. Does not get the stuck hook. This lamp allows him to retry easily, though, rather than having to save and quit. I think that's the case. Not getting it. He has plenty of resources for now. But MrByer is now hot on his heels. There is the stuck hook that he needs. No, does not get it. MrByer looks like he's going to set up an overworld conveyor to get to Turtle Rock more quickly. So this is how he's going to make up a little bit of time on Bread-Kun's Pearl advantage. Another stuck hook out for Bread-Kun, so he needs to do the second part. This might get him stuck in the wall. So I think he's going to reset. All right, so I think his stream is frozen there. Checking his own stream, he is back on West Death Mountain. So this was a failure here. Oh, wow, he got out of it somehow. Or did he? I think he went into one of the pipes. All right, so welcome, Raiders. We have the end, what should be the end of a no logic tournament race here. Both players are trying to solve the end game. MrByer, I think, has a clear idea of what he wants to do. Both need to get to Aghanim 2 and beat Ganon. They don't have the best equipment to do so, but I think MrByer is confident with what he needs to do, where Bread-Kun just now failed it and maybe is not so confident. Bread-Kun does have a Pearl and a Fire Rod that MrByer does not. That death is fine. That's what MrByer wants. Oh, wow. What is... Alright, so... Looks like Bread-Kun is... Boy, where is he going from Hookshot Cave? This... Okay, this will take him to just before Moldorm 2 if he stuck pushes to the east here. MrByer is in the room that will take him... There we go. We are in post Moldorm 2. I don't know why he's going backwards. He doesn't need anything. I guess... Yeah, he decides, what am I doing? I don't need to be going backwards. Byer working on his stuck push. Gets it. Is going to fall immediately into Aghanim 2, where Bread-Kun is on Moldorm 2. I think we're not quite going to be in the Aghanim 2 fight at the same time. Maybe the fanfare at the start for one player and the other. So MrByer does not have Fire Rod for Ganon. That could slow him down compared to Bread-Kun. So this is not over yet, even with decent execution on Byer's side. So if Bread-Kun has a perfect Ganon fight, MrByer needs to do very well on Ganon. That was interesting. Byer dropped a bomb. So here we go. We're going to have two Ganon fights at the same time. Byer missed the trident spin, so he's going to not get the 1-in-1. This is close. So again, Bread-Kun has Fire Rod. MrByer only has Lantern. Wow, a second fit. Wow. So we're getting the 2-in-2 from MrByer instead of the 1-in-1. And that might actually be a third. Nope, no trident. Okay, so 2-in-2 for MrByer. It looks like Bread-Kun did not get the 1-in-1. I think we got a 1 and 2 there. But we are on phase 3 at the same time. MrByer only a hair ahead on phase 4 now. Only has the lamp, cannot get triples. Misses a spin. Actually, that's not true. You can get triples with the lamp, but it's much harder. However, Bread-Kun is working with the fire rod. Much easier to do this faster. I have lost count of spins on both sides, so we will just have to see. Bread-Kun losing a cycle there at the top. Missing a spin. I couldn't tell you who's in the lead now. I would kind of guess Bread-Kun, but I'm not sure. There we go. Getting down. Bread-Kun only 2 spins behind. This is going to be a fanfare snipe for MrByer. Tragic. Tragic end for Bread-Kun there. MrByer finishes in first with a time of 1:51.05. Bread-Kun finishes 5 seconds behind, 1:51.10. So we will see about getting our players in for an interview. I believe they are both invited. Yes, they are both marked as done, so we will see what they do about an interview here. They are talking about the seed in the race channel. I think they've been invited. Yes, they're both marked as done. So we will see. They're basically talking to each other about the same trick they were both having trouble with, all those stuck pushes, having to set that index over and over again. So early, well, I want to summarize it with them here so they hear about it. So MrByer is setting up. We will see if Bread-Kun is going to join us. All right, so MrByer is in. We will have to see about Bread-Kun here. Both perhaps need to cool off here a minute. Oh, there we are. I didn't notice. We are joined now by both of our runners. Good game to both of you.
I don't mind. Pushes never worked at all. I can never find a way to release them.
Yeah, this is a weird Ancilla set to work with. Because, like,
Yep.
bows are weird. Bows are risky to release pushes with. Boomerang messes with hook slot. Everything else generates, like, too many particles. It was
Yeah,
really insane.
so you guys were... you guys were having the same problems with the same glitch in large part, although Bread-Kun had more problems. Let me summarize the difference, though, here. So, Bread-Kun got the fire rod early from Zora that MrByer you never saw, and that made a big difference for a long time until you got the lamp and mirror much before Bread-Kun did. And that combined with Bread-Kun's adventures with stuck pushes made the difference in the end.
I don't understand the push and the lava dive either. I don't know why. I don't get it.
Yeah, I had a fair share of having to leave dungeons midway because of the stuck pushes.
Yeah, I failed a lot.
It also didn't help that at the beginning, you had to use powder, so you only had one shot for the most part.
I was doing ledge pogging to set it up constantly, and it just never worked ever. I legitimately don't understand why.
I think we had some theories in chat if you choose to watch the race back about what was going wrong for you, but I don't personally know. So, Bread-Kun, what were you thinking there at the end about how you were going to get to Agatu? It looked like you had 2 or 3 different ideas.
Oh, I know I've heard about stuck or pushing lava dive, where you can set up a push and just lava dive off of it. But I've never actually seen videos on it, just people talking about it. So I assumed I just pushed through that wall and I would fall in the lava and it would just work, and it didn't.
Oh yeah, that's what I thought at first when I was trying to do it, like a couple races back. But it has to be the top. I think it has to be the top right corner specifically.
Oh, I did the left corner because I was like, oh well, the right corner's pretty close and it might not work. So I'm gonna try the left corner, and no, that failed.
Yeah, that
so
was
I had
my
to give up.
thought.
I had to give up, and I decided to just do the push from Hook Cave to the top of GT and just do the top running the Agatu. And then I missed a cycle on Ganon, which is easily 5 seconds.
Yeah, so MrByer I think got a 2 and 2 where you got a 1 and 2. So
I got a 2. I got a 2 and 1. I one cycled the second one because I just abused Cape.
Yeah, I don't want to run out magic there.
I had half magic and a green potion backup, so I wasn't worried.
I also missed a bunch of triples, which was kind of
yeah, it was hard. It was hard to tell who was in the lead there at the end because you started missing triples.
I got a couple.
Yeah. So, Bread-Kun, you also made a trip to GT that MrByer didn't. So you had that pearl. You didn't have it long enough though to really make too much of a difference.
At that point, I knew that if I could just somehow get the push to release, I could just do Meyer and be a-okay and be out of here. But then it just wouldn't work, and I gave up. And I'm like, okay, I'll just look for a second bottle or just something to beat this stupid dungeon. Because clearly the push wasn't working. And then I did GT for Moon Pearl, which was great. And then I found Lamp and Mirror, which completely invalidated it.
Yeah, so the lamp allowed you to retry your stuck push.
Oh, it sets up the it sets the search index perfectly, and then releasing's a lot easier, a lot less finicky on the release.
So I believe you've both vented. You both had some incidents with getting a Helmasaur, maybe. I think, Byer, you took a death.
I didn't die on Helma. I was low on Helma, but I didn't die on Helma. I put it off till really late because I didn't see much of a point killing it during my first trip. I just come back later.
Yeah, I went really early to pod, and I was like, I'll give it one attempt, because I had the bow, which made it like potentially doable for me at least. But then I died because I didn't back up, and I was like, I'll just come back later.
So, do you have any further thoughts on the seed?
Where were baubles? I had one.
I got. I think the one you didn't get that I got was in Swamp Big Chest, which I don't think you would have gotten.
I didn't have the Swamp Big Key, so I didn't go for it. Nor did I, go in another state and clear out more.
I didn't use it at all, so it didn't matter.
Yeah, I mean it would have helped solve my
my
woes of Meyer, basically.
So, I don't think you guys have game 2 scheduled just yet. Is that correct?
No.
Yeah, we don't.
No. So, people can look forward to that at some point. We'll have to see. Right now, going on over at SpeedGaming 1 is the SpeedGaming main channel is game 2 between Tam and Chex Human. I think we'll probably raid over to that. So, thank you to our tracker, Make Work Heard. Good game again to both players. Thanks everybody for watching, and have a good night.